Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Big day today. You guys like bruschetta? What we're gonna make today is a bruschetta, which is it's really traditional, like an appetizer, Italian appetizer. So it's made with tomatoes and garlic and onion and different types of cheeses and bread, and we're gonna toast it with olive oil. It's absolutely delicious. It's one of my favorite, one of those great appetizers to have before a big meal, especially on a summer day with some white wine or red wine. That first plate of the appetizer comes with the bruschetta, which has got that roasted caramelized bread flavor. Oh my God, it's absolutely delicious. So I want to show you guys how to make it. We're going to certainly step out a little bit with a little way to give it a little bit more depth, as I always say, and a little bit more crunch. So something that's really going to make it stand out as many appetizers do. So that being said, let me show you exactly what I got here. What I've got is tomatoes. Now I want to show you how to clean the tomatoes, but I jumped ahead here just to get some things ready. So I got tomatoes, and we're going to make arugula. We're going to make an arugula. A lot of times you'll see, depending on the season and the region of Italy where you're at, you're going to see like basil being used often. Arugula is another one that's great. We're going to have some oregano and basil. We're also going to have some garlic, some onion. I'm going to show you how to, like I said, step it out of the box here a little bit with some cheese, and we're going to crunch it up. It's going to be absolutely great. And then certainly bread. One of my important points here tonight is to tell you that, or certainly share with you that bread is one of the most important components of a bruschetta. So I happen to have a friendship and a relationship with rye bread. So Jasmine was kind enough to give us some bread this morning, and they're right here in Casanova. So I'm going to pull this out, and we've got a ciabatta bread, freshly baked this morning, okay? So I'm going to pull those out and just set that right over there. So we've got bread that we're going to toast and we're going to flavor and so forth. But before I get right into that, what I want to do, and an important part of what we're going to do today, is I want to show you how to prepare the tomatoes, okay? So what I've got here is I went ahead and did about 8 tomatoes already ahead of time. But one of the points to make today is that tomatoes need to be, if you will, cleaned. If not, on a bruschetta, it's going to get watery and sloppy and messy, and it's going to take the crunch out of the bread, so you don't want to do that. So what I do here is I've got a waste glass jar here, okay? So I'm going to set that right in front, all right? Actually, I won't set it in front because I'm going to block what you guys can see. And I'm going to take a sharp knife, and I'm going to take the tomato, which is exactly what I did with these 8, okay? And I'm going to quarter the tomato. So just grab a couple tomatoes, quarter them, okay? I'll show you how easy this is, but very important part of making a good bruschetta, right? If not, it gets all soupy. So you'll see this has been sitting there for like an hour. There's no moisture in there at all, right? So I'm going to set this across. Now I've got the tomatoes quartered, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull. See how they have the pulp, the juicy part of the tomato? You're just going to pull it out. See how much water's in there? So try to keep every other aspect of the tomato intact except for that watery part, okay? See, and that gives you the meat of the tomato. That's where all your flavor is, right? If you put salt in a tomato, especially with this part of it, with that watery seed, if you will, the flesh of the tomato, what'll happen is you'll get water all over the place, so you certainly don't want to do that. One of my, just on a side note, one of my favorite appetizers, as I told you, is bruschetta. And a place that we go down in Italy, in Vito, there's a great restaurant. It's right outside. You know, you go out on that summer day and you get a nice uno litre of bianco vino, so a white wine, and you got such a beautiful view, and it's just one of those great appetizers that you can share with your family, and it just sets out the base of a meal, just delicious. And it goes really with any meal, if you're going to have a seafood or a meat or a pasta. And I like it because it's not too filling, so you can have some bruschetta and not feel like you know, you don't want to eat. So, where some appetizers don't give you that feeling. So this is great. So I'm almost done. And like I said, I wanted to show you how to do this because this is an important part. So you're just going to pull those out, and I want to show you how long this takes, because a lot of times somebody will show you a jar and say, hey, this is how you do it, but in reality, it doesn't take that long at all. So I'm going to set this aside, okay? And then the other important point on a bruschetta is you'll notice here I diced the tomatoes. So you don't want to have a huge slice of a tomato. You're really making like an Italian salsa, essentially, is what you're making. So I'm going to put some thin slices across the tomato, right? And then I'm going to come across so they're a 1/4 inch, okay? That's it. So you're just taking that tomato, cutting it across. If you get that little end, just pull that across as your waist. That's it, right? So we're going to slice these up for a couple of minutes, all right? And then once these are done, I'm going to show you how to mix that, you know, I call it Italian salsa, the bruschetta tomato pomodoro mix, okay? And then I'm going to show you how to flavor it. And then, real important, we're going to show you how to toast, flavor, and toast the bread. And we'll set these up. They're going to be absolutely delicious. So I'll talk to you guys in a couple minutes. Okay, guys, we're back. So what I did is I cleaned those tomatoes, right? Those 2 tomatoes I showed you. Now you want to make your tomato mix first, and I'll tell you why. You want the flavors of the tomato mix to marry, you know, your pomodoro mix to marry. So by that I mean you're going to mix different flavors in there, and you want all those flavors and juices to combine while you're doing everything else. That way when you spread it on top of the bread, it's got that beautiful aroma and that beautiful flavor, okay? So I'll show you how I do it. Right out of the gate, what I've got here is arugula. So I chopped up here a little over 1/2 cup of arugula, fresh arugula. And that's got that, if you smell that, oh, it smells grassy, peppery, and got a little bit of a citrus background to it, okay? I've got 2 1/2 cloves of garlic, freshly chopped garlic, okay? And that's really going to give it a bite. So that's not roasted garlic, that's fresh garlic. So you can smell, oh my gosh, that totally, right? I got about a 1/4 cup, a little bit of a heavy 1/4 cup of onions. Now what I want you to notice here as I'm spreading this across, you see how small everything is cut? Because you don't want to have a huge piece of anything there. You don't want a huge piece of tomato, you don't want a huge piece of onion, you don't want a huge piece of garlic, right? You want all those flavors to marry. So what I've got here is oregano, and I've got here rosemary, okay? So dried rosemary. I got about 1/2 teaspoon, maybe just a little bit more, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start mixing that up just to get it going. Oh my gosh, okay, so now what do I need? I'm going to need salt and I'm going to need pepper. So I'm going to grab some salt. I'm going to use about 1/2 tablespoon here of salt, okay? And a splash, just a splash of balsamic. Not a lot, just a splash. And then we're going to use some fresh ground pepper, okay? You know me, I'm always going to tell you, fresh ground pepper. So you're going to use about 20 cranks. We got about 10 tomatoes in here, just to give you a heads up. Oh, that smells good, okay? And then you want some high quality olive oil. Now, one of the ones I would recommend is Vito and Joe's olive oil, extra virgin from our farm, but certainly a high quality olive oil. High quality olive oil is going to give you just a phenomenal flavor, and because it's raw oil, it's not being cooked, every aspect of the oil, the flavor, the aroma, is going to be savory. It's going to come out. So that's what you want, right? So as they say, molto deleccio. So that, I got to tell you, just you see how beautiful, doesn't that look just beautiful? Oh, and the smell of that. Again, that arugula gives you that, just the hint of like a citrus, pepper, and grass. I love it. So we're going to mix this up. Now I'm going to let this set at room temperature. We don't want to cool it, because if we cool it, it won't marry the flavors as well, all right? So I'm going to mix this up. And the last thing I'm going to throw in here, not a lot, and it'll be part of our little crunch texture we're going to add, I'm going to throw in just a little bit of cheese, not a lot, and that'll just give you a little bit of a background flavor. And now what I'm going to do is stir that, all the juices, all the flavors, your salt, your pepper, your olive oil, all that's going to mix. I'm going to set that right aside, okay? Now, a couple other things we want to do. One, and I'll jump ahead and do this right now. We want to add, when I say step out of the box, we want to add something with a little bit more texture and a little bit more flavor. So one of the things I love, if you guys have ever had a grilled cheese crunch, a lot of times we'll make them in a basket, like a Parmesan Romano basket. So we're going to make that. We're going to actually make these little pancakes, nice and thin. They only take a few minutes to make. And then what we're going to do is let them cool. As they cool, we're going to grill the bread. When the bread's done grilling, then what we're going to do is we're going to break these up. and we're going to make them like into crumbs, and we're going to sprinkle them within the top of the bruschetta. Absolutely delicious. It's really going to give it a different, unique flavor, a little depth of flavor that you traditionally wouldn't have in, you know, everyday bruschetta. Okay, so why don't you come right over here. Okay guys, so what I've got here is I just got a cast iron pan, right? I'm going to put a splash, just a teeny bit, just for sticking purposes, okay, of olive oil, and then I'm going to spread that in the bottom of the pan, okay? And I've got this, believe it or not, I've got it at low heat, all right? And then what I'm going to do, this is a Romano and Parmesan cheese mix, 50-50, okay? So I'm going to grab it doesn't really matter because we're going to break it up, but I'm going to grab essentially about a quarter cup, maybe a little bit more, okay? And I'm going to spread it right out in the middle of that pan, okay? And then just spread it, try to make it even in the sense of its thickness, okay? And watch that. I'll tell you, just the smell of it. And what you're doing, you're cooking the cheese and you're melting it. Oh my God, that smells fantastic. Now watch this, because this can burn. I don't have it up on high heat, but it can burn quickly, and you'll see any of the thin parts. See how the cheese is starting to really brown? So I'll do that. I'll wait till it starts to get homogenized. I'll wait till I can't see the look of the shred of the cheese. I'm going to take it, I'm going to flip it. Look at that. Is that beautiful? And I'll grab a plate here. You don't want to overcook it. It takes just a few minutes. And you'll see it's got a nice texture, a crunch. And again, sometimes you don't know that you're overcooking it, but if you're overcooking it, what it'll do is it'll start to pull up a little flavor. So I always see how that is starting to brown a little bit on the backside. So I'll wait till it browns a little bit on the backside. And when this cools, it'll get hard. It'll actually get kind of crispy. So then what we'll do is we'll let this cool. We'll crunch it up. We'll crumble it up. And we're going to spread that right over the top of the bruschetta. Oh my God. Rather than spreading just a soft cheese on it, it's going to add a depth and a texture to it. So look at that. Is that perfect? Right? And I'm going to set that right there. And you watch, within moments, as soon as I pull off the heat, look at that. See how it already starts to stiffen? It already starts to stiffen right up. And it'll have a nice salt, kind of creamy feel, texture. Oh my God, that's fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a few of these here for a couple of minutes. When I'm done, we'll tune back. I'll show you how to flavor and toast the bread, and we'll make a bruschetta. Talk to you guys in a couple minutes. Hey guys, all right, I just want to show you one little trick that you can do. My lovely camera assistant said, hey, how would you make a basket, for example, if you're making a salad? So you can actually do like little cups to put bruschetta in rather than bread. So what I've got right here is I've got that cheese, right? And it's melting. See that, how nice that is? And it's just starting to get brown. So once that just gets where you want it, if it starts to wrinkle, just spread it right out, because it'll do that because the cheese is warm, right? So it's flexible. And then what you're going to do is just take it, you don't have long now, and you just set it right over, let's say, an upside down cup, right? And shape it. And again, this is a larger cup, but you can do a small little cup, or you could do a larger piece of cheese. And what you'll notice, it only takes a minute here, and it'll actually start to harden. And you can pinch it. Woo! And what it'll do is, as it cools, it'll take on the shape of the cup. So then when you're done, in this case I'm rushing it, but in this case you've got a nice little cup, so you could actually serve like a lettuce, a salad, a little arugula salad, a little bruschetta right inside there. And I'll just let that cool. I'll show you a nice little way to present an appetizer here in a minute. All right, so we're set. So this is gonna cool, and we want that to cool so we can crunch it. Again, and that's gonna add that depth and texture. So I'm gonna bring that right over here, get it away from the stove. And I think what we need to do, real important, is I want to show you how to cut the bread. So come right over here and I'll show you how to do that. All right guys, so what I've got here is some ciabatta bread. Oh, it was made fresh. I probably have powder on my nose here, flour. But this was made, I still got it? All right, there you go. Is that off? Here, let me do mine. Am I clean? Am I clean now? Okay, so there we go. So we've got some nice bruschetta bread. And I want to show you, when we cut these, we want a larger slice of bread, all right? So if we cut it just like this, we're only going to get that size. So we're going to do two things. We're going to angle it, or certainly what I'd suggest that you do, angle it and cut it on a back cut, okay? So we're going to basically do this. And what this will do is this will give, oh, this is just so fresh right here. This will give us a bigger profile of bread, okay? So again, just a little trick to give you Now in Italy, when you go, a lot of times you can get a slice this big. That sometimes it'll come in a real large slice. Sometimes they'll roast it over a real hot fire. They'll grill it. I've seen it where they put it right inside the hot pizza ovens. So a lot of different ways to do it. It's going to be traditionally flavored with olive oil and garlic, and I'm going to show you a great way to do that. So let me cut these up. And again, this bread is just so fresh today. And what I'm going to use, now you can use a grill, you can use an oven and so forth. I'm going to use a panini maker, okay? So I'm going to take my two ends. Yes, I'm going to eat those later with a little olive oil, okay? So I'm going to take my two ends here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep these on a plate with some olive oil and some flavoring. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to grab a plate here, right, with my bread, and I'm just going to spread it across. Now we're going to do both sides of the bread, and I'll tell you one of the best bits of advice. I like the panini because it roasts both sides of the bread, right? So I'm going to take some bread. I'm going to take some good high quality olive oil, right, and I'm just going to drizzle it over the bread. Now sometimes you can salt it, sometimes you can pepper it, and I'm not opposed to that, but in this case we got a lot of flavor coming from the bruschetta. So you don't want to get too much salt or too much flavor in, if you will, on the bread. The bread already inherently has some salt in it. So I'm going to flip this around, and like I said, the flavor and the memory I have of bruschetta is sitting near the seashore, the Adriatic Sea of Italy. Oh my gosh. And it's such a great, it's a great mix. And just like anything, when you go to Italy, you know, you're going to have like more of a commercial restaurant and so forth. But boy, if you can get a chance, if you ever visit Italy, to go to some of the small towns, you know, where the stuff's really fresh. I mean, there's somebody, you know, there's some old guy or some old lady in the back there just making everything fresh for you. So, all right, so we've got the olive oil spread on both sides, very important, both sides of the bread, right? So I'm going to bring it right over here, and here's my panini, and this thing's hot, okay? And I want it hot because I want to toast it. So you're going to hear, at least you should, when you put it on, you should hear a little sizzle of the oil in the bread, right? And I'm just going to, see what I'm doing there? If I just absorbing that oil, right? I don't want to waste it, right? I'm going to spread this here. Spread it right across. Now there's going to be another little tip that I want to give you in a minute. So I'm going to let that sear. Now it's probably going to take us about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. It's doing both sides. We want to get it more than toasted. You want to see that caramelization, that grilling on both sides of it. It's going to visually be beautiful. Secondly, it gives it that flavor, that depth of flavor that you traditionally wouldn't get, and you wouldn't be able to get that in the oven. When we take that out, I'm going to show you, we want to rub it with some garlic. We're going to flavor it with some garlic. We're going to set that to get it ready to plate, and then we're going to put our flavored bruschetta. Oh my God, it's going to be absolutely delicious. I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Hey guys, okay, I just want to show you, if you can get in there. See how that's starting to get nice and crispy? And see how both sides are, right? I'm going to let that go a minute. Sometimes what you'll see on this is you'll see a couple of these slices are thicker than the other slice, and you won't see them all grill. So real easy, what to do is just tend to them, flip what isn't cooking right, okay? And in this case, we've got a couple here that I would say are almost done, right? And a couple that might need to go a little further. So I'm going to let that set. I just want to show you what that's going to look like. We're going to let it go a few more minutes. If a couple get done ahead of the other ones, no problem. Take them off, plate them, right? Because we're going to have to let them cool a little bit before we rub them with garlic. And then just let the other ones go a little further. Just make sure you tend to them, because once they start to go and they get to that temperature, you don't have a lot of time, okay? I'll talk to you guys in a minute. All right, guys, while that's still toasting, I wanted to show you. These are our Parmesan Romano cheese flakes, right? And you're going to see how crispy they get, right? So I want to cut them up into little pieces, because they're going to give you that texture and that depth that you just can't get any other way. And you know, just spreading cheese on there, it's still going to give you the same flavor, if you will, but it doesn't give you that extra texture, that extra feel, you know. And this is old school Italy. This is what you'll see in one of those restaurants along the way in a village that you know, you just have the best meal ever, you know. And they put a decanter of white wine on the table, and they just start bringing food out, and you haven't even ordered anything yet, you know, and just, oh my God. So we're gonna cube this, and I just wanna show you, see, that's got a nice, see, it's nice and crunchy, and oh my God, that is so good. That is just so delicious. And again, you can't reproduce it. And it's got plenty of salt from the Romano cheese. And it's creamy because the Parmesan is going to give you a little bit more of a creamy feel. Oh, just absolutely delicious. So I'm going to cut the rest of this up. I'm going to put it in a bowl. Toast bread is almost done. I'll tune back with you in a minute. Okay guys, I just started taking these off. See how perfect they are? So you got a nice crust on both sides. It's got that nice crisp. Remember, some of it's going to be texture. You've got just a delicious fresh bread from Rise Artisan Bakery. And you see that depth of, that's hot. See that depth, that color, that golden brown with the olive oil that goes all the way through it. Look at that. You just can't, you can't get that anywhere else. So I'm going to let these guys go a little bit more. These aren't quite done yet. All right. I'm going to fill it up with some other ones I've got to go here. All right, we got some friends that we're going to share with. And then what I'll do is I'll get all this ready. I'm going to show you how to put garlic on the bread. I'll tune back with you guys in a minute. Hey guys, welcome back. So what I did is this bowl here is full of that nice crunchy Romano Parmesan. Oh, it smells absolutely delicious. What I've got here is freshly toasted ciabatta bread from Rise Bakery, okay? Olive oil both sides. It's got a nice crisp to it. And what I have here, now this has been able to set and marry, right? I've got the nice fresh tomatoes with arugula, some cheese, some salt and pepper, oregano, and rosemary. Just absolutely delicious, okay? So I'm pretty much ready to get going. So what I did here is I took a clove of garlic, which is fresh, okay? And I'm gonna take this garlic and I'm gonna rub, whoops, I'm just gonna rub the outside of the bread with the garlic, okay? So I'm gonna rub all this with the garlic, and what it's gonna do, just rub it back and forth. Now there's a little bit of an abrasiveness to the toasted bread, okay? So it's gonna give it that flavor on the, oh man, I'll tell you, you can smell it because it's still warm. So you see how it almost creates like a little paste on there, see that? And again, we've got a little bit of garlic in our bruschetta pomodoro mix, okay, our Italian salsa as I call it. So I'm gonna just go ahead, spread this over each one. And what I did is I cut a piece of garlic. I normally keep it in half so it's a lot easier to hold on to, but it's split on me. So, and I'm cheap, so I didn't want to waste another clove of garlic, so I just figured I'd still use it. There you go. So you can really smell, I mean, you can really smell the garlic right now. So I'm almost done. We're gonna just keep spreading it, right? And then, oh yeah, that's good. And just look at that. How long does that take? And what's great is the heat from this, oh my God, the flavor. The heat from the bread, you know, the toasted bread with the olive oil and the fresh garlic, oh my God. All right, so I'm gonna do this, I'm almost done. I'm gonna rub that. I'm gonna rub this, almost done, there it is. Okay, so here we go. We've got this plated, right? And what I did there, you'll notice some of them have a little bit better marking on the outside. So I, you know, just aesthetically, you want to make it look beautiful. So these are all covered with garlic, okay? So now what I'm going to do, you're going to see there's a little bit of water in there. We don't want to get the water because we don't want the bread to get soggy, right? So you're just going to take a little spoon. Let me grab another one here just to make it easy. You're going to grab a spoon, right? And you're going to take our beautiful mix, our bruschetta mix, right? And you're just going to decorate, spread it right on the outside of the bread, okay? And I'll use the other spoon just as another tool here. Look at that. I'll tell you, the smell right here, just of this. Oh my God. I mean, that alone, that just brings you right back to Italy. I mean, just, you know, you can smell that and you can feel the ocean and the sound of the ocean and the smell of the ocean. You get a little white wine. Oh my gosh. A little frizzante, like a little soda water. So I'm going to do these as neat as I can. I'm going to make a little bit of a mess, but that's all right. We'll clean it up here in a second. And And again, don't get any of the moisture because you don't want to get the bread soggy, right? And then I'm just going to keep spreading it. You know, bigger piece of bread, you're going to put a little bit more of the tomato arugula mix on there, right? Oh my gosh, look at that. One more, one more. Now I'm going to show you how to just set this off here in a sec. And that's going to be, so I've got a perfect spread of tomato on everything, okay? And you know, you're going to present this, so you want to keep it as neat and as clean as you can, right? And now, to finish this off, you're going to take this crunch, right? And you're just putting a few little pieces on there. You're not putting a ton, just a couple little pieces. And that just gives you that salty, you know, it's going to hit your mouth. It's going to give you that nice salty flavor, that crunch. It's going to give you that depth of flavor that you normally wouldn't get. You don't want to overpower it with this, but you definitely want to get a few pieces on there. So again, when you bite into it, you're getting the smell, the feel, the taste. Then you get the sweetness of the tomato, the oregano, the rosemary. Oh my gosh, the arugula. Absolutely beautiful. Hey guys, welcome back. I didn't forget about this little cheese basket. I just wanted to show you. Now that's cooled. You see that little basket? You can set it right here. You can fill that up with a salad, or arugula salad. You can put some bruschetta in there. It's absolutely delicious. So just another way to set that appetizer. These are done. So we've got rosemary, and we've got oregano, and we've got garlic and olive oil, and we've got that cheese. So I'm going to grab one of my pieces here. This piece, I don't know if you guys could hear that on the camera, but it was actually calling out for me. So I'm going to grab, look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Oh my God. Every flavor in that is absolutely delicious. Brings me right to Italy. Oh my God. The olive oil. You know what makes bruschetta too is that crunch. You definitely want to get that bread nice and crunchy. And then you've got that Parmesan Romano cheese on top crunching as well. Oh my God. Can I have one more on TV here? Oh my God. I'm going to set that here so I'm not going off the plate. Absolutely delicious. Guys, I'll tell you, one of my favorite appetizers ever, no matter where I'm at. And it's just a great way to bring Italy in your home, no doubt. Guys, thanks for allowing me to share my heritage and my traditions with you. Don't forget, spend some time with your family. Enjoy making these great dishes. Hopefully enjoying some of my history has allowed your family to enjoy some of theirs. Have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you next week.